Hello, welcome to Scrap Time. My name is Christine, and in this video I'm going to be showing you a Distress Crayon Resist technique. In this video I'm going to be showing you the Distress Crayon Resist, and I've used my Distress Crayon through the Doodle Bloom stencil from the Crafter's Workshop, and then I went over with some Distress inks. Now I just wanted to show you that I didn't fully take off the crayon off my resist. You can see here when you apply water it will go white, but I like the look of it where the ink sort of stain the resist area. So I kept it like that, but you can actually get it that you remove it right down to the white. I just chose not to. But let me show you how to do this. So I'm using just a regular card. This isn't any special cardstock. And this is my Doodle Bloom stencil from the Crafter's Workshop. And I'm just sort of placing it on like that. And I'm using the Picket Fence Distress Crayon. Now what you want to do is apply color into that area and then smooth it around with your finger to make sure the whole area gets covered. So I'll put some crayon down. And you don't need a lot of crayon. You don't need that big buildup on the edge if you've ever used sort of crayons with stencils. Sometimes around the edges they'll get a buildup. The other thing is I suggest using a stencil that has some large openings like this. If it's too small, it's hard to get your crayon in there. So that's why I'm using a 12 by 12 stencil, even though I'm just doing a card. This design on the smaller stencil didn't have a lot of open area, so it just makes it harder to get that crayon in. Depending how much design your stencil has will depend how long this stage takes. I'm trying to work a little quickly here, but still get my design covered. Can I do this one? No. And when you're squishing it with your finger or moving it around with your finger, you can feel the crayon there. So even though right now to you it just doesn't look any different because it's just white, I can feel that the crayon is being applied. So I think I've made it around. Can remove. And again, you can't see the design, it's white on white, but I can fully see where it's at. Now, the trick now is that I want to just let this dry a bit. If we use it right now, if you've used Distress crayons, you know that when you use a crayon, you can smudge it. But the thing with Distress crayons is that once it dries a bit, it doesn't smudge very easily. And that is to our advantage for this technique. So I'm going to just put this aside and let it dry, and then I'll come back with the inks. So my crayon is fairly dry now. I think it'll be fine for putting the inks over top. So I just want to show you that I have all these little mini inks. I recently invested in the whole set, treated myself to the mini Distress inks with these little tins. And the reason why I decided to do this is, you know, there's 60 colors in the Distress line, and by having them in these little tins, it just makes it so handy for having all the colors at your fingertips, because I'm always digging out the color I want. And so that's one reason. And then there's different techniques where you want that smaller amount of ink and that you can do. So I decided that when I initially saw them, I'm like, I don't need the little ones, I have the big ones. But now through time I decided I was going to go little. Now the other cool thing about this is you pull them out, and I also have the little foam under all of them. So each color has its own foam. So that was, you know, a trick, of course, Tim Holtz showed us all, and I'm like, that is fabulous. So, and these inks are perfect for the little circles. So because this is new, I'm going to ink it up a bit, and then I'm going to start putting my color on. So right away you can see that flower coming through from where we did it with the crayon. So that's one great thing about the crayons, is that once they sort of dry a bit, they won't smudge. So you can do techniques like this. So I can close that up, take this foam off, put it just back underneath, put it into my container, and then I think I'm going to use cracked pistachio. I have my new foam for that one. So of course you can do any colors you like. You saw previously I did purples and pinks and then combination of blues and greens. That's the great thing about Distress. So many colors go well together. But I don't use a lot of green. And so I thought, why not? Let's use green. So you can see where the actual paper is. That's a lot darker than where the crayon is. That's the darkness that's coming through there. So I think I'm going to change it up again. And I'm going to use Twisted Citron because I like that bright green. And sometimes the darker the ink is, the more the resist will show up. And the other thing too is sometimes when you're using your ink pads, you're rubbing off some of the ink from that flower. I can go back in maybe with a little Lucky Clover, take this off. Just to add a little bit of darkness, and then it's nice to have a light color, medium tone, dark tone, sort of, it gives your project a little bit more depth. Now I could go in with like a bit of water and really remove the inks from the crayon. But as I mentioned earlier, I like the way the crayon just sort of absorbs some of that ink, and I'm going to just leave it like that, but you can still clearly see the design. And so that is the Distress Crayon Resist using Distress inks over top to color in our page. Thanks for watching. Be sure to give our video a thumbs up and subscribe to Scrap Time videos on YouTube. In the meantime, here are a few other videos you might be interested in watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.